I'm more confident in saying that Iowa is going to be, or at least in that category of being college football's best defense. In fact, I made a video, a 20-minute video, talking about why I think Iowa will have college football's best defense. But that doesn't mean they're perfect. Something that they don't have, that Georgia, Florida State, and really every other team on this list has, is an abundance of blue chip talent. Now, I'm someone who thinks that recruiting in the modern age of college football is overrated, but it is still incredibly valuable. On the defensive line, Iowa will start Deontay Craig and Ethan Hurkett at defensive end, Aaron Graves and Yaya Black at defensive tackle, Nick Jackson and Jay Higgins at linebacker. Sebastian Castro occupies that cash hybrid safety corner linebacker position. John Nestor and Germani Harris are in the cornerback rooms. I think I said Deshaun Lee earlier for Iowa. Deshaun Lee, I think, transferred away now that I remember and isn't even in college football anymore. So correction there. Safeties are Xavier Nwampka and Quinn Schulte. Nwampka is in the strong safety position. Schulte is in the free safety position. They bring back 86% of their production from 2023 on defense. It's crazy. They were first in opponent yards per play, only allowing 3.9 yards per play. And this was with an offense that was outside the top 130 in scoring. This may have been the best defense in college football last year, but because of how atrocious their offense was, you would never know it. They only allowed 13.7 opponent offensive points per game, which was third, 0.207 points per play, again third, and they were fifth in opponent yards per game, only allowing 281.9 yards per game. Some of this is also puffed up due to the fact that they did not play great offenses. In fact, they played pretty terrible offenses outside of Penn State, Michigan, and Tennessee. Michigan and Tennessee were by a mile the best offenses they played all season. Even Iowa State is up there in terms of the caliber of offenses that Iowa played last year compared to the average offense they faced. And when they played Tennessee, it showed. When they played Michigan, Michigan played one of their worst games on offense I had seen in a while. Their O-line played like garbage, frankly. They were still able to hang some points and make some moves on Iowa without doing much. And Penn State just wrecked them. So there is an argument for this not being the best defense in college football. But those are very weak arguments, in my opinion. Iowa, their passing defense, they allowed a 56.14 completion percentage from their opponents, and they led the country in yards allowed per completion. Every time an opponent completed a pass, on average, it was only 9 yards. That's very impressive. In second place was Ohio State in that category, allowing 9.7 yards per completion. Only, I think, those two teams, maybe another team, per completion they allowed less than first down in yardage. That's very impressive. And teams had so many plays against Iowa because Iowa's offense would just 3 and out. Would you like another 3 and out? Punt, punt, punt. The only criticism I have of this team is their takeaways per game. They only had 1.1 takeaways per game, which was 111th in the nation last year. And as a result of their bad offense and not creating many turnovers on defense, they had a negative half turnover margin per game. That's something that I know Phil Parker will improve upon entering 2024 because his defenses are known for intercepting opponent quarterbacks and creating turnovers. It's like Georgia with their defense in general, especially their talent up front and at linebacker with Kirby Smart. You know, after a year like last year, he's going to look at their weaknesses, and with Travaris Robinson and with Glenn Schumann, they're going to dissect those weaknesses and fix them. Phil Parker is that good. He is the nation's #1 defensive coordinator, and that's more certain than Iowa being the best defense in the country. The best players are all in the back seven for Iowa. Their defensive linemen, don't get me wrong, are very good. Some are even of All-American caliber, perhaps in my opinion. But Nick Jackson, Jay Higgins, Sebastian Castro, and Quinn Schulte, those are certainly elite players, All-Americans in their own right. Nick Jackson and Jay Higgins each had over 100 total tackles last year. Jay Higgins had 171. Jackson had 8 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Higgins had 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, an interception. Sebastian Castro had 8 tackles for loss, 8 passes defended, and 3 picks in that secondary cash position with 67 total tackles as well. Quinn Schulte had 4 passes defended, a pick, 2.5 tackles for loss. This secondary, while losing Cooper DeJean, will still be one of the best in all of college football. The linebacker group, especially the starting group, is by far the number 1 linebacker core in college football. It just is. It may be the best room on defense, like factoring in the starters per unit. Linebacker will typically have less starters than the defensive line or the secondary especially. When you factor all of that in, Nick Jackson and Jay Higgins may make up the best starting unit on defense in the country. That's how good they are. And that is factoring in Ohio State's secondary, Michigan's defensive line, and other schools that are elite at multiple positions on the defensive side of the football. Pay attention to Iowa, especially in the regard to their offense. If their offense can control the clock more efficiently and at least put up 1 more touchdown per game, maybe 10 more points per game, or heck, if Drew Stevens is more accurate this year and maybe kicks an extra field goal per game, and occasionally you turn one of his field goals into a touchdown, this defense will be infinitely more efficient because they can be more aggressive. They can afford to try and take the ball away more or try and get the sack instead of being super conservative, because with one mistake, the can of worms is open and you get an L instead of a W, like what happened against Minnesota last year for the Hawkeyes. And yeah, I mean, that defense did an admirable job, an exceptional job. Thank you for watching this cut of Touchdown Talk. Remember to like the video to help this channel get into the algorithm and grow as we approach the 2024 season. And also subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you can participate in our giveaway at 20,000 subscribers. Help us to grow, join this awesome community, and also be notified when we release new content here on College Football with Sam. I would like to thank my Patreon members for sponsoring this video and channel. A shout out to Crash2488 and Brasco Rascal for being $25 a month Heisman members. A shout out to $10 a month American members, all American members, Chris Lane, Connor Little OH, and Ismar. And a shout out to $5 all conference members, John Lynn, Roaming Gnome, Matthew Sale, Austin Christmas, and Janisha Cockrell. Have a great day, guys, and we will see you soon. Bye.